And we're off. We're off. Hello, welcome. Come on in. This is the very first Rise podcast. I'm Toria Farrell. I'm going to be your host for today. I've got 2 decades of experience in this industry. So, what's Rise? Why do we need a vodcast? Rise exists to support and promote gender equality in the broadcast media and entertainment tech industry. And Rise has been successfully running initiatives since 2017 and engaging conversations about how our industry can become, have a greater diversity. And the vodcast, well, as a previous mentee with Rise, I had the enormous joy of spending some time at the industry shows on the Rise stands. And what struck me was the range of conversations that I had, the depth, different, and just did not have time to complete those conversations. So we just need airtime, basically. If it's important to you, it'll be important to Rise. And what the vodcast is about sharing our experiences, offering some wisdom, hopefully, and also to support the ever-growing Rise network. Talking of support, first like to acknowledge Sky for facilitating this wonderful vodcast. Thank you very much for the technicians to help us. And so, episode 1, what are we going to start with? Well, key to everything really is change and support of our industry. So what we're going to focus on today with my contributors is why industry partners are vital to reducing that gender imbalance, highlighting the business benefits of a diverse workforce, getting more people coming into the industry, preventing more people leaving the industry, and championing women's career aspirations. So let's start with the positives. Ofcom did a report where actually 49% of the overall workforce is women. But when we dig down into that number, we actually find that women are underrepresented, that's quite hard to say, in several sectors, mainly in leadership, senior leadership. Only 12% in vendors or CEOs are women, but also in areas in engineering, in procurement, in budgetary, in those big decision makers. So I'm joined today actually by two wonderful women from Ross Video, who are going to help us really drill down into what it means to be a partner with Rise. So I'd like to welcome Lauren Myers, who is the Director of Regional Marketing at Ross Video and was recognised by Marketing Leaders Powerbook, and Kathy McGallion, who's a Stakeholder and Community Relations Director at Ross Video, who is talking to us from Ottawa. So I'm not going to complain about the weather that we have here because that's BAU for Kathy in Canada. Key to this is that Rise is a global organisation. And what I'd like to sort of just start off with, Lauren and Kathy, if that's all right, is just talking about how that conversation evolved. So, Lauren, you were a mentee, and then I'd like to know how the conversation evolved to bring Ross as an organisation closer to Rise and how that actually came about.
Yeah, so I joined Ross Video in 2018, and the industry as a whole is my first job within the broadcast sector. And I was very fortunate actually on my first, quite early in my role, I attended the London show and I was introduced to some influential women within the industry. And straight off the bat, they told me all about Rise and the initiative that they were putting together and they were running. At the time, I think it was the first year they did the cohort in 2018 for Mentee Scheme. And they basically said to me, go and look at it. Go see if that's something you'd want to do. And I did that. I went off and I researched Rise and found out a little bit more about it. And with my manager's support, I then jumped in and was a mentee in 2019 in that cohort. And I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was just fantastic. I think, especially being new to the industry, I didn't have any network at all. I was quite young in my career. I was a coordinator coming in as a coordinator. And it's a very male-dominated environment. I knew that off the off-bat. When I went to my first show, I was like, whoa, there is a lot of men here. So it's quite intimidating. So I think going into that 2019 cohort was game changer for me in my career. I built confidence and support, and that network that I got straight off the bat was amazing. And I honestly don't think I'd be in the role that I am today without having to do that. So that was kind of how Ross first found out about Rise, was through me doing that mentee scheme in 2019. And I came back from the mentee scheme, or while doing the mentee scheme, and I spoke to Kathy and the other leaders at Ross, and spoke to them about my experience and how great this was, and how can we get more involved in this? They need support to bring this forward, and what can we do as a company to support this? Because it's fantastic for other women within the industry as well, and within Ross. Like you say, it's global. We had people in Singapore, we have people in a lot of people, obviously we're headquartered in North America, so how could we help other women get involved in this initiative? And I will say that was a very easy conversation. Thankfully, it was a very easy conversation, a very easy sell. Credit to Ross, when I explained what I'd gone through and the experience I had, they were straight in and supported me and was like, yeah, okay, how can we help? What can we do? And that led to Kathy kind of leading the charge from Ross and really working out how we can support from the sponsorship side of things. So,
and Kathy, the thoughts of partnership and what that meant. I mean, what were your expectations of that when Lauren came to you and said, "Look, I've been really inspired. I think I've really benefited from this." How did that relate to a benefit for Ross, for the company to actually make an investment, make a commitment to the mission and to the support of Rise?
Well, I have to say that Lauren's enthusiasm about the program was palpable. It was just incredible to hear all about Rise, and we knew very quickly that this was an organization that we wanted to support. I also started at Ross in 2018, and at the time that I joined, diversity within our employee base was quite limited, and we knew that needed to change. So Rise came on the scene at a really good time when we were ready, and we were very much aware of the fact that we needed to diversify our employee base. So from there, we decided that we would invest. And as Lauren had pointed out earlier, Ross is a global organization. We do have employees in the UK, Singapore, Australia, Europe, North America. And so it was really important to engage with an organization that was also looking to expand on a global front. We wanted to be able to reach our employees around the world, and this was the perfect program to do so. So it was a great fit for Ross, and I'm thrilled that we had the support that we did with our senior management team.
It's a really interesting point. Rise and Coretta Research brought out a report at the end of 2024, and we'll add the link into the notes, but it does make for striking reading, because although I've been around the industry for 20 years, so I have seen that change. However, when you look at the number of women that are not represented in some of these areas in our business, and also in terms of progression and visibility, that some of those things have remained really low. To the point that there is only 24% women engineers. How do you think sponsoring and being part of a Rise initiative could help change those numbers, realistically making actually not just sort of, I suppose, being visible, talking about it, but actually making a material change in how the workforce looks like and what opportunities open up for women in our industry? That's Kathy. Yes.
Yes. Okay. No. So everyone needs to be able to visualize themselves within an organization, and so really having programs like the ones offered by Rise, and the mentorship program provides an opportunity for women to build their confidence, to get to know a network, a worldwide network that they can rely on during challenging times, ones that can really they can aspire to be. So these programs are essential to helping women rise up and become the leaders that they are meant to be. As we know, numbers are quite low in the engineering sector. We have, certainly in North America, women entering engineering is at about a 22 to 23% rate. That needs to go up. We also know that the significant portion of women drop out of engineering within that first 5 years. So we want to make sure that there's programs in place that nurture and encourage women to continue in engineering. We want them to remain in engineering. So Ross is very committed to programs such as the one at Rise that will encourage women and mentor women and nurture women to be the leaders that they can be.
It's really interesting. Part of the Coretta report showed an odd kind of disconnect where the respondents agreed that a diverse workforce made for better products, also made for more success. And indeed, the data shows that. The most diverse workforce, the companies that have that, so it's more at a par, per employee, are making a lot more money than those that are not, because they can connect with their partners, their buyers. And so the imperative is there. So when you look then that only 12% of tech vendor CEOs are women, 24% engineers, then we begin to see that there is a bit of a disconnect. And so initiatives like Rise, where it brings not only the mentor program, the Rise Awards, looking at bringing partners in, the Women's Health Initiative. All these initiatives begin to bring that conversation really into the light for change. We're looking for change here because our industry needs that innovation. It needs new generation coming in, so things like the Rise Academy, and for that reason, we are looking at partners in the industry to come and commit not only to the vision, but commit to ways that they can support Rise in all of the activities it's doing. Lauren, when you were kind of a mentee, and then how do you feel that developed you as an employee, and how that benefited then Ross Video?
I think in many ways. I think from just having an outside person to speak to build support and guidance on when you're kind of figuring out your career and what you want to do and what avenues to go down, and having an honest conversation without any judgment. And I know there shouldn't be any judgment internally inside the company as well, but having kind of external voice that's completely objective to a situation you're going through, or and offering that advice that has also been there before and probably faced very similar challenges that you're facing today, helps you kind of navigate your career and find the right moves to go through. So I think that's a big one from a personal point of view. And I think when you grow and you build your confidence in yourself, you do better work. And so Ross ultimately gains from that as well, from your employees building their knowledge and their confidence and their abilities. Then only you're going to get gains from a company point of view as well. So I think it's a mutual beneficial point from that stand of things as well.
And Kathy, would you agree with that? How has what's the connection between the Rise of Confidence with an employee and what Ross then can do? What benefits can you see?
Well, we are seeing a lot more women, honestly, internally move up the ladder. So we've seen quite a few women in the last couple of years being promoted to the director level, and of course that leads to VP and C-suite. So we know that we are on the right path where it is happening, I know that there's more to come. I wanted to note that the Rise program works really well with another sponsorship that Ross does at the university and college level, where we support women in engineering and IT. So in that case, we are sponsoring a program that supports women through those years, those college university years. It's similar in the sense that it is a mentorship program. We talk a lot about career paths. We talk a lot about how to build each other up. And we support those women through those 4 years and then into their post-education career. And so, again, going back to the fact that a lot of women, unfortunately, drop out of engineering in that first 5 years, we know how important it is to continue that mentorship through those initial years and into that 10 to 15 year career cycle as well. And so Rise fits really beautifully into that continuation. We see women through their college and university years, and then we want to support them certainly in their early years and beyond. And Rise is really doing a great job there.
And I think whether you're vendors or, large organisations, I think, in some of the conversations I have where some vendors say, well, we just haven't got the resource to be doing lots of DEI initiatives. And this is the wonderful thing about Rise is it is open across the board so that the opportunities and the sort of partnerships is an open book on our website. Have a look at you can click on the QR code there or look at the website, which is risewib.com. There's a partnership section there with a large amount of information about the ways in which a partner or sponsor can become involved in Rise. So it could be as much as an event partner. We do networking events. Rise also has the Rise Awards in November, which is, again, championing the achievements of women and also putting women really at the forefront of those innovations and making that visibility. Visibility is a huge piece in what needs to change, and what Rise's mission is to change that conversation. I mean, in terms of visibility, Kathy, how do you think that being a partner in Rise or sponsoring Rise in terms from an industry point of view, is that important?
I think that, as an industry, we have a responsibility to step up, right, and to support programs like this. So, I mean, we're proud. We are very proud to be one of the first sponsors of these programs and to continue our support. We love the Rise Up Academy. We love the fact that the mentorship program is on a global scale. We also support the Rise Awards. I mean, we want to celebrate all these wonderful women and what they've accomplished. And the Rise Awards gives us that opportunity to really to nominate our employees to write the stories about why we think they're so wonderful and talk about their achievements, and then to see them recognized, whether it's shortlisted or winning the award. I mean, that it's a special occasion that we all celebrate in November. And for those who can't attend the event in person, we have viewing parties, and I'll tell you, they're very popular. So it's I want to say that it's important that industry steps up, but I can tell you the internal gratification from being involved in an organization like Rise has been really rewarding for Ross.
Rise is dedicated to fostering gender diversity within the broadcast media and entertainment technology sector. Rise initiatives support and empower individuals at all stages of their professional growth, from education to C-suite executive positions. Rise now has over 4,000 individual members globally, and over 25 companies are now partnering with Rise. The continued support from our partners enables Rise to develop programs and initiatives, laying the ground for a more diverse and inclusive broadcast and media technology sector. If you'd like to join us, click on that QR code, get involved.
So we've been talking about the benefits of partnering or being a sponsor, and there's lots of different ways to interact. I mean, there is an imperative. There is an ethical imperative to open the doors to a wider group of people. We need those ideas. We need that innovation. Everything is changing at warp speed in our industry, so we need the energy and things of a wider, kind of group of people, opening doors to those that perhaps have thought, that they haven't had the opportunity. And there is a range of options, from a global package to regional, just one single territory. You could become a Rise event partner. As soon as you've got the Rise logo and you are showing as an industry that you are standing by and being an ally to important work, really. It was interesting in the Caretta report, just a really interesting respondent about everybody is really recognising that diverse teams are good for business. They're good for companies, that development is important and needed. And yet, really only 19% of vendors have any kind of actual initiative themselves. So getting involved in Rise is a way that you can show commitment, but also it's a win-win. It's a really win-win. I don't know if you found that Lauren, in that, you're personally benefiting from it. The company you work for benefits from, and of course, you're opening doors for people who are coming up behind you.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that as well, it's beyond just the employee kind of satisfaction point as well. It's like Kathy said, it's the responsibility of us in the industry. It's by sponsoring, it enables Rise to do this powerful research they're doing with Greta to understand what is going on and what is the gender imbalance and how can we work together to improve it. Like, because it's going to take all of us together to improve this going forward. So I think it's also being a sponsor enables that research to happen. It can't happen in a vacuum. It can't happen on its own. It needs the support to be able to do that. And I think it's bringing these conversations to light. And, it's great that we can have these conversations. It wasn't long ago that we weren't having these conversations. And I think that's a really key point of being a sponsor is it's bringing this to the forefront. It's giving that responsibility back to the industry, which we should own, and we should do something about it as a collective. So
I have to say, I made a programme 20 years ago now about women entrepreneurs, and we had a contributor who talked about the barriers that people face. And what they were talking about was not only it was a confidence issue, it was caring responsibilities. There were personal responsibilities, need for flexibility. There was also the issue of not being taken seriously, your authority, your subject matter expertise not being recognised, that put women off, or barriers. And that was 20 years ago. And you kind of think, actually, that could have been clipped and recorded right now. So I think what we'd love to see, I think, as a Rise community, is to see that now moving into action. And I think the more women rise up into leadership positions, have more influence, that we can actually start driving that forward. I mean, I have to say, visibility, one of the other aspects of Rise is promoting female speakers on panels. I know the MPTS show made a specific commitment to have more female, contributors on their panels, and they had 46%, I think, in the last show. And it was great to see, because I would dearly love, I mean, we're here talking about the barriers and women and all the benefits of promoting gender diversity. I would really love to get to a point where we're talking about our jobs, what we do, whether that's cloud-based production, whether that's OB trucks, cables. It would be great to be able to just have a female voice that is an expert in that, and to be talking about that. So that's another aspect of the Rise partnering that's so important, because again, if you can't see yourself out there, then how on earth are you going to visualise and move forward and think, that's for me, that's definitely for me?
It's really, really important. I think, like I said at the beginning, when I joined the industry and I walked into an event and it was a sea of men, and then you're on the panels, it's a sea of men, and you're like, well, I can't see myself there. There's not, and there must be women in the industry that can speak on these topics. Why are they not on the stage? So I think it's really, really important that we are doing that, and also that men. I think it was discussed at the awards back in November. I think a male was saying that we need to say no to doing panels when it's an all-male panel, because if we keep saying yes, it's not going to change. Like you said, we can sit here and we can talk for days about what we need to do, and it's the action that needs to happen for all of us to say no and actually get and advocate for women to be on these panels, because there are experts and there's a lot of intelligent, highly successful women in this industry, and we should be having them on those panels and talking.
And I would say that, again, for some of the respondents from the data is showing that highly capable women, we're just missing them somehow. They're just not getting through. And our industry needs that innovation. It needs those ideas. It needs that expertise. And, and I think it's one of those things that, as a whole, the more partners we have, so Rise has, I think, 25 partners. It needs more. And also the international aspect, because we have now mentorship programs and initiatives going on across the globe, which is an attractive thing for a global company. So it's not just regionalised. So there are programs in India, Australia, North America, Canada, across Europe. And so the network becomes very strong. And I think, Kathy, you mentioned the importance of that to Rise Video and how that importance. Why is the global aspect so important?
Oh, I mean, I think for any organization, I mean, you have a headquarters, and so much happens at the headquarter level, and we are constantly looking at ways to reach our whole entire employee base. It's essential. I mean, it's extremely important for Ross, and I know it's important for the industry as a whole. So when we were engaged, when we were first starting off with Ross, and they were talking about expanding their programs on the global front, I have to say that was a really attractive point for us. It's exciting to think about all of our different employees across all departments, and I think I want to emphasize that it's not just R&D that's involved. We have employees in marketing and sales and operations and finance and Ross Production Services all over in the globe in multiple different departments involved in the Rise program. So it really has made a huge difference knowing that we can get involved at different regional levels.
Thank you, Kathy. Lauren, just thinking about just the last few thoughts. If somebody's listening into here now, and I can imagine if I was listening, you'd be shouting, going, yes, those numbers, that makes sense to me. Yes, absolutely. There's glass ceilings. We don't need to just smash through them. I think somebody did quote this, so it's not my quote, but we need to not only smash it, we just need to redesign the whole thing. If somebody's shouting at the screen now, we hear you. But what would you say to somebody listening that all of this is really hitting home and they want to get involved? What sort of what advice would you give other than clicking on the QR code and Rise WIP on the website? All the information is there. Just a little your thoughts on what you'd say.
Honestly, just do it. Just go on that website, click that QR code, put your details in and get involved. Honestly, nothing will change unless we all get together and move this forward. So don't wait, do it, get involved. It's a really, 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 really important cause. And with Rise doing wonderful things, and you want to be part of that journey and not sitting on the sidelines. So get involved.
Yeah, it's part of the change, and it's part of, it's exciting. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's, very rewarding. It's rewarding to be part of. It's a great network, and you'll have a network for life and a global network. Kathy, your last thoughts, what personally, just what surprised you about, your involvement as a sponsor?
So one of the I was recalling my memories of throughout the years working with Rise, and when we first started off, we were calling for nominations for the Rise Awards. And at the time, a few really wonderful nominations came in, and certainly the individuals were well deserving. And we actually did have Karen Walker won one of the first awards nominated, and we were thrilled about that. But it was still a bit of pulling teeth in the sense of not, people weren't aware fully of the program and what we were doing. I can say though, today, when I put a call out for nominations, we get an abundance of people coming forward and saying we need to nominate. The list is, let's just say it's a mile long, and now the process is going through and trying to decide who we're going to put forward. I wish we could put all of our nominees forward because they're so well deserved. But we do have to cap, and the good news is that we're working through all that. We're working through the list, and we know that if we can't nominate an individual one year, that we look to nominate them the following year. So that's a big takeaway for me. Just watching how much it has grown and how popular the program has become at Ross, and that doesn't mean popular just amongst our individuals who identify as female, but also the males as well. We have so many allies at Ross who want to support women and their growth. So I'm thrilled from a personal level to see how far it's come.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you very much for your time today. Thank you, Lauren. It's just the tip of the iceberg, isn't it? And just to say that the conversation doesn't finish here. We've covered just the very top. And as the series of podcasts goes on, or vodcasts even, we will be talking about a whole load of themes. Please do get in touch with us. You can click and subscribe so that you'll get the next drop of the podcast when it comes out. Click on the QR code there or go to the website, which is risewib.com. So, yes, thank you for listening and sharing with us. We hope that we'll have a lot more of sharing experience, wisdom, and bring you all on our mission to change diversity in our industry. Another thank you to our technical team and to Parminder, who has been our producer, keeping this all on track.